Browns QB Shedeur Sanders gets tough reality check ahead of Week 1. The Cleveland Browns are entering the 2025 NFL season with a quarterback room that looks more like a balancing act than a straightforward depth chart. At the center of the storyline stands Shedeur Sanders, a rookie who arrived with the kind of buzz that only a famous last name and a decorated college career can deliver. Yet as the Browns prepare to kick off Week 1 against the Cincinnati Bengals, Sanders has been handed news that will test his patience and resilience. He will not just sit on the bench, but will begin the year as the team's third-string emergency quarterback, buried behind 40-year-old veteran Joe Flacco and fellow rookie Dillon Gabriel. For a young man who has always carried both his father's shadow and his own ambition, the reality is a sobering reminder of how unforgiving the NFL can be. For Cleveland fans, the announcement was both expected and frustrating. They had seen Sanders' flashes of promise in preseason, especially when he delivered an electrifying performance against the Carolina Panthers with 138 yards and 2 touchdown passes. In that moment, it was easy to imagine him rising up the depth chart and challenging for meaningful snaps sooner rather than later. But the truth is the NFL rewards consistency, not moments. Sanders' preseason finale was brutal. He completed only 3 passes, was sacked 5 times, and looked overwhelmed by pressure. Compounding the problem was an oblique injury he suffered in practice, an ill-timed setback that robbed him of the chance to build on his breakout performance. Coaches don't easily forget struggles like that, and the Browns front office quickly slotted him into a role where learning would be prioritized over immediate playing time. Reports from The Athletic's Diana Rossini confirmed that the Browns' plan was never to rush Sanders onto the field. "Don't plan on seeing the 5th-round pick on the field this season unless things get really weird," she explained. The Browns, she noted, want to rely on Joe Flacco's experience to guide the offense and on Dillon Gabriel's promise to serve as a steady backup option. In other words, Sanders' rookie year has been mapped out as a redshirt season, one where his greatest contribution may come from holding a clipboard, watching from the sideline, and absorbing the complexities of NFL football. To some, the situation has sparked conspiracy theories. Social media threads buzz with speculation that the Browns drafted Sanders for reasons other than football, whether it was his famous lineage, his marketability, or even a hidden plan by ownership to cash in on the Deion Sanders brand. Rossini, however, dismissed these ideas entirely. She emphasized that this was the decision of general manager Andrew Berry, who truly believed that Cleveland's coaching staff had the tools to develop Sanders into a long-term NFL quarterback. For all the football conspiracy theorists out there trying to decode the real reason the Cleveland Browns drafted Shedeur Sanders, here's the truth. There is no big secret, she said. The pick wasn't some master plan from ownership. It was GM Andrew Berry's call, rooted in his belief that Cleveland's coaching staff could bring out the best in Sanders and help him grow into an NFL quarterback. In other words, Sanders' path in the league is going to be measured in years, not weeks. That reality is never easy for a rookie quarterback, especially one as competitive as Sanders. From high school stardom to his rise under Coach Prime at Jackson State and Colorado, he has always been under the spotlight, always seen as a natural leader with the confidence to command a huddle. Now, for the first time in his career, his main job is to watch. In interviews, Sanders has shown humility, acknowledging that he must improve in many areas. After his final preseason struggles, he said, "Obviously, I feel like I can improve in a lot of areas, like the same thing I said last time. I'm just excited for the opportunity to get out there and play. Every day was a new day. Every day you learn different things and life lessons that you learn in every situation. I'm coming out of training camp happy that I got the opportunity. That outlook may serve him well in the long run, but in the short term it cannot mask the sting of being sidelined." The Browns, meanwhile, are content with their plan. Joe Flacco, fresh off a comeback story that reignited his career, enters Week 1 as the unquestioned starter. Though he only appeared in 1 preseason game, playing about a quarter, Flacco insists that the limited reps have left him feeling fresh and ready. At 40 years old, his presence offers Cleveland something they have long lacked: stability. There's so many things about every training camp and every situation that you're in that aren't necessarily ideal, but that's not necessarily what's ideal for the team, Flacco explained. I think the best thing for this team was to kind of have the process that we had. And even though I may personally not feel like that was the best thing for myself, I can get on board and see how that was important for the team to go through this process. Therefore, I'm willing to, and I have been willing to, play that role and go through that process and just be the best version of myself I can be. And now, heading into the season, I feel like there was plenty of time for me to make sure that I got the reps and felt comfortable with all the guys around me. His words reflect the professionalism that comes with experience, something Shedeur can learn from even while watching from the sidelines. Flacco's presence also takes pressure off Dillon Gabriel, the rookie quarterback out of Oklahoma who has quickly impressed the coaching staff. Gabriel's mechanics, decision-making, and confidence have made him the clear choice for the number 2 spot, pushing Sanders further down the line. The message is obvious. Gabriel is ready to step in if Flacco falters, while Sanders is viewed as a long-term project. That designation may not be glamorous, but it is not unusual. The NFL has a long history of quarterbacks who began their careers in obscurity only to emerge as stars later. Aaron Rodgers famously waited 3 years behind Brett Favre. Patrick Mahomes sat for a full season behind Alex Smith. Even Tom Brady entered the league as a 6th-round afterthought before injuries gave him an opening. Sanders' situation, though disappointing for now, could be the foundation for something greater if he embraces the developmental process. Still, it is impossible to ignore the emotional weight carried by Shedeur's last name. Every pass he throws, every snap he takes, or does not take, is magnified by the presence of his father, one of the most iconic figures in football history. For Deion Sanders, a man who has lived in the spotlight for decades, attention is natural. For his son, it is both a blessing and a burden. Shedeur cannot afford the luxury of anonymity. When he struggles, critics are louder. When he succeeds, expectations double. His rookie year on the sideline may, in fact, be the perfect crucible. Away from the relentless pressure of weekly games, he can grow quietly, sharpen his fundamentals, and prepare for the moment when opportunity finally arrives. Week 1 will offer him none of that spotlight. The Browns enter their opener as 5.5-point underdogs at home against the division rival Bengals. A tough matchup that will test Flacco immediately. Fans will focus on the starter's arm strength, on Gabriel's readiness, and on how Cleveland handles a Cincinnati team built to contend. Shedeur Sanders will stand on the sideline, headset on, observing, learning, and waiting. It is not the glamorous debut he envisioned, but it may be exactly what he needs. In the long sweep of NFL history, patience has often been the hardest lesson for young quarterbacks. But it is also the most rewarding. For Shedeur Sanders, this season is not about highlight reels or headlines. It is about building the habits, discipline, and understanding that can turn potential into reality. The Browns have made their decision clear. His time is not now. Whether his moment comes next season or 2 years from now, or in some other city entirely, the real story of Shedeur Sanders' NFL career has only just begun.